What up, guys? It's your girl, Ms.Burna, and tonight I'm back with a recap. And I know I've been gone for a minute, but I was just letting others catch up. Did you catch up? Okay, anyway. Tonight we will be doing a recap of Tyler Perry's new movie, which is #1 on Netflix. Shout out to him. Titled Straw. Now, if you haven't had a chance to watch the movie, you might want to exit stage left. There will be spoilers. First thing, let's dig into this phenomenal cast. All right. So we had Tiana, TT, Taylor, Miss Sherry Shepherd. Even had a cameo from the iconic Sinbad. I thought that was dope. Taraji P. Henson, of course, get in here. All you ladies did an exceptional job. Taraji, a very talented actress. I want to give you your flowers. All right. Now, this movie has had a few mixed feelings in regards to how black women is seen. I've seen a few fans state they were over the portrayal of the strong, struggling black woman. But in depth, I think the storyline is so much more than that concept. It teaches us as people to be more understanding. It teaches us not to be so judgmental. And Tyler really did a good job at portraying sisterhood amongst color women. So as the movie starts, we see Taraji, who is playing Jania, a single mother going through typical hardships, robbing Peter to pay Paul. In a low-income neighborhood dealing with a sickly child. Despite her surroundings, despite her struggles, she appears to be a loving mother and neighbor, giving when she barely has, trying to make a way for her daughter and herself. The movie Straw is about just that. The last straw, your week's end. Taraji's character, Jania, is at her breaking point. At the beginning of the movie, you can see that, when she's coming out to drop her daughter off to school, she got to deal with the Aggie landlord. At the beginning of the movie, the landlord is clearly on her neck about her money. Where's my money? I want my money. Like you ain't paying your bills, girl. So, she's trying to explain to her that, hey, I get paid later. I got you later. So she already anxiety. I got to get this money. So she drops her daughter off to school. And if you notice, spoiler alert, the principal looks at her very strangely like, this is odd. This is weird. And at first, you won't get it. But just stay with me. All right. So after dropping her daughter off, dealing with her landlord, she's late for work. Now her boss is a donkey. He ain't trying to hear none of that. So she got to deal with him being angry, and then got to deal with irate customers. All right. What initially made her crash out. All right. She receives a call from her child's principal. They're making threats of getting DSS involved, saying that her child has bruises on her back. She's trying to explain where the bruises came from. They ain't trying to hear none of that. She got to explain to her boss why she got to go make it to her baby's school. He ain't trying to hear none of that. Her baby told her that the teacher been stressing about this lunch money. She asked him for her check, which she was supposed to get paid today. She's like, can I get my check? He initially agreed to let her go to the school, but you ain't getting your check. Be back in 30 minutes. My way, highway. All right. And we all go through it, especially if you work for someone else, All right. Only way to avoid that is to be your own boss. All right. So she goes to her daughter's school a minute late, $1 short. All right. So her daughter is now in custody of DSS. Leaving the school, only thing on her mind is getting her baby back. She runs into a road rage incident with a crooked cop. He then threatens to take up out of here if he catch her again. And, you know, a female officer has to step in. But she still wasn't trying to hear anything what this lady was telling her. She's just like, you know, I got to do my job. Either you're going to deal with me or you want me to call back, you know, the prick. So her car gets towed. Now she got to find her way back to work. And after a morning like this, you could be thinking like, well, what's the worst that could happen? But for Jania, it was a domino effect. And that day ultimately became her downfall. All right? So, car gets towed. Of course, she's late getting back to work. He gave her 30 minutes. She took 2 hours. All right? She get back to work. The boss will put, you know, like in my office now. Don't even go to that register. I want to talk to you now. So, he initially fires her. Yeah. He fires her. She asks what any of us would ask. Where's my money? You know. He tells her, but when you get terminated, your check get mailed out. Movie would have been over with. I would have been snapped. Because you ain't about to play about my money that I work for. And I'm here, the check here, and you going to mail it. Negative. All right? So, while trying to negotiate her paper, a civilian comes in. And he initially calls her name. And like she said, you know, he could have read her name tag. But he calls her name. While trying to rob them, he did, you know, go upside the head. But they tussles over the pow-pow. And she takes him out. Instead of the boss being grateful, you know, that she takes him out, he accuses her of setting it up. So he gets on the phone, he makes that call, and before he could hang up, she go ahead and end his career. Now this what teed me off, Tyler, Taraji, Jania. All that money sitting on that table, and only thing you grabbed was your check. I mean, at that point, you might as well went all the way. You ain't had nothing else to lose. You were already crashing out. I would have took everything off that table, everything out of people's pockets. Lord, forgive me. But yeah. So, she takes her check, go back across the street, because remember, I didn't say this, but she did go to the bank earlier to try to get that lunch money fee for her baby. All right? But, you know, they basically told her, like, you know, you can't, if you take out what's left in your account, we will have to close your account. She's like, okay, close my account. Trying to talk her head off. She wasn't trying to hear. She had things to do in a timely manner, which is understandable. Now, boom. That happened with the boss. The call was made. She goes back across the street to the bank. This time, she goes in with her check. I would like to cash my check. Tell her on some, you know, funny style, miss, I need your ID. Like she ain't see her in there every week or every 2 weeks, however she got paid. But anyway, she refuses to cash the check. At this point, baby, Jania has set it up to here. So she starts waving around that thing like a mental health patient, you know, like, just cash my check, just cash my check. So, of course, the bank tellers in a panic. They start giving her more than she asked for. She's telling them, like, I don't want all this. I want my check cash. It's $521. I want my $521. Period. Boom. So one of them pushed a button, and that button triggered that phone call, and Miss Sherry Shepard, the bank manager, takes the call, and, you know, they began questioning her about what's going on inside the bank, and then she reveals to the detectives that it's a young lady that she's familiar with. Her name is, you know, boom, Jania. They hit it on the head, so they got their suspect. Meanwhile, Tiana Taylor, who is playing Detective Raymond, has, you know, they had already been to the crime scene at the store. So, you know, they watched the video surveillance. They seen Jania, but she's still not convinced that this person is no hitter, you know. She thinking she's just going through something and they need to tread lightly. So they go to her residence. They see that her things were put out. She was evicted. They see that she has a daughter. They talk to the neighbors. They talk to some of her former employees to get a better understanding of her. In the midst, they get a response to a bank robbery. They learn it's Jania. They in hot pursuit. The bank owner spots Jania's baby's science project in her book bag. And it's lighting up, and they see the wires, and it's just like, what is that? They automatically assume it's a explosive, and they report it to authorities. So when you ask what's the worst that could happen, you see it, yeah. Sherry Shepherd, I got to give her props. She was very calm throughout this whole ordeal. And by her being calm, remaining calm, and, trying to understand Jania and, understand what was really going on, she made space for Jania to trust her. And, what she did, she started to open up more, explain more about herself, her situation. And, in return, Miss Sherry let her in and let her know about her situation. And it was like a bonding experience for these two. Now, one of the bank tellers turns on her phone and she goes live. So, in the midst of her going live, and I think that live is what actually saved Jania, because in the live she get to explain her day, the day she had basically, and what led up to the accidental bank thieving. Okay, so now millions of people get to watch her on live, and they could relate. They feel sorry for her, and they show up in support. Tiana Taylor, Officer Raymond, Detective Raymond did an excellent job as well. 3 different women, 3 different walks of life, yet still all one. You know what I'm saying? We all could sympathize with Jania. I done been Jania. I know a Jania. And even though Tiana Taylor was now this detective, she's a single mother. She was raised by a single mother. She gets it. Even a bank teller, yeah, she's in the suburbs. But she had to struggle, and she had to take certain steps to get where she was at. So after negotiating with Tiana Taylor to let the innocent bystanders go free, Jania requests that the officer that she had a run-in with earlier, who wasn't so nice, be removed before she go outside, which is understandable. I was definitely there. I feel you on that. You know what I'm saying? Like, she wanted him to leave the scene before she released anybody, before she stepped out there, because he had made some very nasty threats earlier that day. So Tiana, Officer Raymond, Detective Raymond, is in hot pursuit to figure out who wrote the ticket, who ran her off the road. Once she narrow it down, she then presents the evidence that, hey, I found the guy, we got him removed, and now Jania holds up to her end of the bargain. She releases her hostages. All right. Now this is where the rabbit hole goes deeper. So now they're worried about her safety, her being safely detained by the authorities, by the federales, because, they can't pulling up minding, the city boys' business. But they're trying to negotiate ways where they could end this peacefully, amicably. In the midst of doing so, her phone service was restored. Her mom calls, and that call was shocking. All right, was not expecting that, but a good plot twist. So turns out that Miss Jania's baby, in all actuality, in reality, had passed away the night before after suffering from a seizure. And now that I think about it, it was a scene where she was speaking on, oh, my night at the hospital, it just, like, she blanked out from there. but she didn't go into depth about what happened at the hospital with her and her baby. She left us to speculate. But when that mom called and gave us the, clarity, the mom and sister, she said they were crazy. So maybe, they were trying to help her cope with the fact that her baby was no longer here, but she wasn't trying to hear it, hence calling them crazy. So it turns out her baby had passed away the following night. And the next morning, she still couldn't come to grasp the idea that she just lost her child. So she went on the next day like she has been going on the past 8 years. Like, for the bank teller to tell her that, yeah, I will take your child, I will bring your child to visit you, knowing darn gone well their baby wasn't here. I mean, I guess, like I said, she had to play the calm role to keep her calm, but that's a bit much. If she would have told her that sooner, they could have been snapped her back in reality. And then, you could have embraced her and talked to her some kind of way there. But just my opinion. To put the icing on the cake, she gave, like I said, all her hostages the option to leave. Miss Sherry Shepherd stayed. She told her she was going to walk her through it. They do have 2 endings, but one is more so of how I think Janelle would have wanted it to end, because losing her daughter maybe made her feel like she had nothing left to live for. So she rather went out that way, but God had other plans. All right, so Miss Sherry Shepherd walked her out, both of them arms raised. Tiana Taylor intercepts the feds and handcuffs her and put her in the back seat. We got to get a part 2, Tyler Perry. You couldn't leave us hanging like that now. We got to know what happened. Did she beat it? Come on, man. But y'all, definitely a good movie to watch. Don't take my word for it. Do your own research. Check it out yourself. Out of 5 stars, I give it 5 stars. All right. Usually, yeah, Tyler Perry was beginning to tee me off with his movies, but this was a good comeback. All right. And if you don't understand it the first time watching it, because like I said, it was a lot of mixed reviews, mixed feelings, watch it again. I done watched it 2 times. Good movie. Had me crying like a little bitch, but a good movie. All right. Till next time. Peace.